Hey everyone, welcome back to lizfenwickdiy. Today's video we are going to be making fabric pumpkins. I already have an existing fabric pumpkin tutorial that I did last year, but I wanted to update it because in that tutorial I showed you how to use like thrifted sweaters and flannel shirts to make pumpkins. So I wanted to show you how you could make them using any type of fabric and actually make them a bit larger. So let's get started. The fabric I'm going to be using from this tutorial, I actually bought at Hobby Lobby, but you could get it at any kind of craft store. I picked out a flannel that I liked as well as two just knit fabrics, and they were 30% off. So I picked up a fourth of a yard, and a fourth of a yard ended up being, I think, $1.22. So really inexpensive. Another great option, Dollar Tree has out this little like gray and white flannel blanket that's like a buffalo check. That would be great for a pumpkin as well. So I'm going to cut my fabric down so it's 18 inches by 10 inches. And you can really use any size you want. The larger that you go, the bigger your pumpkin is going to be. So I did 18 by 10. I think that's a good size pumpkin. If you don't have one of these cutting mats, that's okay. You can just cut it down, use a ruler and cut it with your scissors. Next, what you want to do is fold the two long sides in half. And then from there, I'm going to stitch that long side together just with a regular stitch on my sewing machine. If you don't have a sewing machine, you could just stitch it by hand. From there, we're going to stitch one of your ends. So what you need for this are you need some doll long needles that have big openings at the top. And I picked mine up at Hobby Lobby. I'm sure you could get them, Walmart, anywhere. And I'm gonna be using some thick thread, and I'm just gonna thread it through my needle and then tie it in a knot at the bottom. Then I'm going to take one side and I'm just going to loosely stitch through, going back and forth all the way around one side. Once I get my needle all the way through, I'm just going to pull it tight and then tie it off by sticking my needle back in the fabric and then looping through a knot and tying it off. I do this maybe 2 or 3 times so it's nice and held in place. From there, you're just going to take your fabric and turn it right side out so that the good side is on the outside. Our next step is to fill our pumpkin. I actually have this polyfill that I found at a thrift store. If you don't have polyfill, you can use stuffing from like an old throw pillow. You could even use stuffing from like stuffed animals. There's so many things probably around your house that you could use as stuffing. And you just want to start stuffing it in. Now here's the tip of how you make your pumpkin look really nice is you want to use a lot of stuffing. Make sure you're really getting it into the edges of the pumpkin. If you don't use enough stuffing, it's not going to look full and have that nice look to it. So make sure you put in plenty. Once you get your pumpkin filled, you're going to do that same stitch that you did to the bottom to the top. So just thread your needle the same way, and then you're just going to stitch around the top and then tie it in place and make sure you knot it so that it's held in place. Okay, so this next step is what makes a pumpkin look like a pumpkin. So what you want to do is use your same needle and you're going to be using the same thread, and you want to make quite a long piece because this takes quite a bit of thread to do. So you're going to make a long piece. What I like to do is double it up, the thread, and then I'll tie it in a knot at the end. Sometimes I do 2 knots just so it doesn't pull through. Your next step is going to be to take your needle, and this is why you need a long needle, and you're going to push it through the top of your pumpkin down to the very bottom. And then you're going to just try to get it through the center as much as possible. If it's not, that's okay. Pull your needle from the bottom. Then you're going to wrap the needle up around the side of your pumpkin. And then you're going to pull it back through the center of the pumpkin and out the bottom. Once you get it out the bottom, this is when you need to tug hard and pull it so that you get that nice indentation in your pumpkin. So you just really want to make sure you keep this part as tight as possible. Otherwise, if it comes loose, you're not going to get that cute little indentation in your pumpkin. Then you're going to repeat that same step, go a little bit around your pumpkin, and you're going to pull it up around the side of the pumpkin, push that needle back down through the center of your pumpkin, and then pull it out the bottom and pull as tightly as possible. You're going to repeat this step 2 more times around your pumpkin. So what that's going to do is it's going to give you 5 little areas that are poking out. Now, I never have enough thread, so usually after I pull it through 2 times, I'll tie it off at the bottom, get a new needle and thread, and finish off the other sides. Just remember on that to pull it tight and it should look cute. You also want to try to make them as evenly spaced as possible. I know sometimes that can be tricky to do, but just try your best. Next, you are just onto your finishing touches. So what I am putting in is a little leaf. This is from a thing of leaves from Walmart called Dusty Miller. I'm just gonna pull off one of the small leaves and I'm gonna hot glue it on the side. And then I just grabbed some stems from outside. I think these look the best if you use branches. So I'm just going to hot glue that in the center. That's all there is to doing a fabric pumpkin. Now, you may wonder, well, how do I get them a little bit bigger? So to do that, here's the few steps you need to follow. I wanted my gray and white pumpkin to be a little bit bigger, so what I did was I just increased the size of my fabric, and I repeated the same steps by just sewing the edges and sewing the ends. And then when it comes to your filling, you just want to make sure that you fill it up, making sure you get it as full as possible. Now, here is the thing you have to worry about. If it's too big, you're not going to be able to get your needle down and do the same technique. So make sure however big you make it, you can still fit the needle down, or this technique won't work with this size pumpkin. And I did 3 of these pumpkins and I think they are so adorable. Here is a look at how all my pumpkins turned out. Okay, you guys, let me know below your tips and comments for how you create fabric pumpkins and make them. I love to know your ideas. If you're new to my channel, make sure that you subscribe. I do home decor and DIY, and I have a lot coming up for the holiday seasons. And if you missed our last DIY video, I'll link it right here, so just click on that video, and I'll talk to you in our next video. Bye.